Good morning. This is Wendy from Cohen Tucker Natus. I know usually when I come on, I talk about recent USCIS policies or changes in law that are proposed or just things we're seeing processing wise. But today I want to talk about something a little different. Essentially, WTF Texas. It's like Texas and Florida's governors are in a competition to see who can deter migrants more than the other with what are likely to be deadly consequences, especially in Texas. So, what's happened recently in Texas? Governor Abbott is a very anti illegal immigration, and this is not a position where I am arguing that crossing the border without authorization is appropriate. I do believe that people should process through normal channels or at the very least enter at ports of entry. But that being said, I understand this is a difficult situation, especially for the states along the border who are seeing migrants enter. This has been a problem that has existed as far back as I have been practicing, which is now 15 years. So it's not anything new. It's been a problem that has every administration, Republican or Democrat, has struggled with. And there's no easy solution. I don't even claim to know what the solution is. I think the solution is going to be a mix of things such as enforcement, especially using technology, as well as expanding some level of immigration reform mixed with foreign aid to countries where we're seeing a lot of migration in. But again, I don't claim to be an expert on how to fix things. But I do have some comments about what's going on in Texas. Whether you agree with how people are entering the country or not, these individuals are still human beings. What Texas has done recently has to build up a floating buoy barrier along areas where they're highly crossed of the Rio Grande. Now, this barrier also has a whole bunch of razor wire on it and apparently some netting and stuff underneath to prevent entry underwater. So this is proving to be very dangerous. They've already been reporting one person broke his leg trying to climb over it. Another young woman got caught in the razor wire and ended up miscarrying. Another family opted to go to a part of the Rio Grande that is more difficult and dangerous to cross because of this barrier. And unfortunately, the mother and her two children's bodies were recovered because they had drowned. I understand that this is a hot button issue. Again, these people are human beings. And to essentially create obstacles in such a way to cause serious injury or death is just inappropriate. Now, it's not just the barrier. There's reports coming out of Texas from trooper medics, so individuals who work for the Texas government, who are writing up reports on their daily or their weekly activities, who are questioning policies that they are being given. For example, there was a recent report that they are being instructed to push individuals, including minor children and nursing mothers, back into the river towards Mexico. They're also being told to refuse water. I don't know if you paid attention, but Texas has been going through significant heat waves. They've had triple-digit weather in the shade recently. You're talking about depriving like a 4-year-old of a bottle of water. I can't fathom the level of cruelty that is being exercised. Pushing people back in the water, especially children. These people already came through. They're here. Pushing them back's not going to do anything except potentially cause them to drown or be seriously injured. I don't claim to have the answers. I just think that there's a way that we can be compassionate and remember that these people are human and that obviously there is something causing them to come here. Whether it gives them a right to stay here or not, that's a different matter, and that will be taken care of by the immigration courts or the Department of Homeland Security. But again, it's not something for individuals who are employees of the state of Texas essentially to push people back and put them at risk for their lives. So that's Texas. The good news is apparently the federal government is looking into it because technically immigration enforcement is a federal job. It's not a job for the states. So how much Texas is trying to do, is it legal? Obviously that would go to the courts, but Arizona set up empty cargo containers along their border at one point. The federal government sued them. The litigation never got to an end result because ultimately Arizona agreed to remove them. So that was a positive. But all these things are doing is pushing people to be more reckless, get involved in more dangerous situations, crossing at points that are even more dangerous than the better parts of the Rio Grande, and then forcing them into desert conditions with nothing. So if your goal is to kill people, then that's what you're going to do. And ultimately, what deterrent effect that will have remains to be seen, because they've had individuals. I think last year was the highest number of deaths that they recorded. Again, these are what they know of. And it was almost 800 people died crossing. So we'll see if these deterrents even minimize that. I have a feeling they're actually going to make the death rates go up. Now, moving on to Florida. Not to be outdone, I guess is the best way to say it, is Florida has now their immigration law, their own ways to try to stem illegal immigration. And one of the things, I mean, there's several provisions of this law. It effectively makes people terrorized to travel within the state. If you're documented, but your parent isn't, and you're driving them near the border, you can be arrested and convicted of a crime. You could be taking your parent to a medical appointment. You could be taking them to see a family member. Now you've committed a crime. Because you were close enough to the border, they suspect that you brought them in. Florida has also decided that it's not going to value certain driver's license from different states, because certain states, like for example, New York, agrees to give driver's license to individuals who are undocumented. Now, you may wonder why. There are a lot of positives with it. I also get, again, the counterpoint. Well, you're giving them some reason to stay here. But if you think about it, most individuals are going to, in certain parts of the country, are going to need to drive regardless. New York City, you can get away with not having a car. It's very easy to do. But outside of that area, Long Island, upstate New York, not happening. You need a car to get around. So individuals are going to drive anyway. At least with a license, this allows them to get insurance and other things to make sure the car is safe, that they're insured, and that if there is an accident, the people are protected. Florida's laws are also making it harder to get medical care. So now people are foregoing necessary medical care. Again, these are individuals already here, not stopping anybody. You're penalizing people who are already here from seeking medical care. This could lead to very significant life and death situations. On top of it, it's also hurting employers. They're already seeing issues within both the agricultural and construction industries in Florida, having no staff. Nobody's reporting to work. It's going to grind those industries to a halt. And again, it's just to see how cruel we can be. And again, like I said, I don't have all the answers, but there's got to be a way that we can do this a little bit more compassionately. So sorry if this was not what you were expecting today, but I needed to get this off my chest, especially the stuff going on in Texas. I'm not an open borders advocate by any stretch of the imagination, as some people just assume because you're an immigration lawyer. I do believe in fair and compassionate immigration. I also understand that this country has, some needs, both for the future, workers, reuniting families, obligations we have to our allies who helped us fight the war on terror. I respect all those things. Even not being supportive of open borders, there is, again, a way to do this, and that we are compassionate, recognizing that these individuals are humans. They are not pawns in some political contest to see who can be the cruelest and make their base more excited. So again, I just ask people, please step back, regardless of how you feel on this issue, and think about this as these are human beings. Maybe take some time to read some articles about why people are coming and understand what their plight is before you make judgments, before you decide that cruelty is the best way. Again, thank you for listening. This is Cohen, Tucker, and Adis. We'll be back again next week. Hopefully next week we don't have to have these discussions and we can talk about immigration law or policies, things like that. But if you have questions or you do need assistance, please contact our office at 212-840-0050. You can also find us on the web at cohentuckerlaw.com. Thank you. Have a good day.